Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. A little technical glitch. We were out, then we were on, then we're back. You know what happens. It is a Monday, and it is really a Monday. We've got Israel and Iran. We've got no king's riots. We've got an assassination. I mean, things are kind of chaos right now, to be real honest with y'all. More than a little bit of a mess. And, man, it's all driven by the same people, folks. It's all driven by the same people. Same people pulling the strings and pushing for war in Israel and Iran are the same people who are pushing for the no kings and the protests, the civil unrest in the United States. Same people across the board. There are a group of globalist bad guys who are hell-bent on remaking the world. Everybody knows who they are. Everybody knows what's going on. And there isn't anyone doing a damn thing about it, including our White House. President Trump is the only guy fighting this, but the people around him aren't doing anything. And in fact, they're pushing him very hard into war. He's even spoken out about it, and it's amazing. It's amazing. So John Rich just did a truth post or a poll on X, asking, hey, you guys want to have war in Israel and Iran? You want us involved? And the overwhelmingly, it's like 90-some% said no. Nobody wants another war, yet we're marching towards it. Nobody wants the civil unrest, yet it's continuing. Nobody wants what's happening in this country. This is not MAGA. This is not what we voted for. I'm so sick of it. This is what I voted for. No, this is not what I voted for. I did not vote for more mRNA jabs. I did not vote for war in the Middle East. I did not vote for continued war in Ukraine. I did not vote for the DOGE cuts to not be enacted. I did not vote for all of this crap that's happening. I did not vote for a divided America, moving into more crap that we don't believe in. What I voted for was MAGA, America first. And that's what I want. And right now it ain't happening. And the thing is the only difference between where we are and where we need to be is an effective DOJ that would start putting some bad guys in jail. That would do even more than a good Congress. Even more than a good Congress. If we started arresting bad guys that were behind this stuff and investigating them properly, that would shut things down real quick. But no one will do it. The DOJ is captured, controlled, or just on the other side. I don't know what they are, but this is no better than Bill Barr's DOJ. This is a disaster. They are not supporting America first. We're right now on the verge of World War III. This Israel-Iran thing is huge. We've got the Ukraine thing going on. We already have so much bad blood between Russia and the U.S. It's mind-blowing. China's pulling strings. Globalists are pulling strings. Everybody's pulling strings. Everybody wants a world war. Everybody wants to destabilize, weaken U.S. And yet no one's doing anything. And meanwhile, we got MAGA sitting there with their thumb up their rear saying, this is what I voted for, when they arrest some loser that keyed to Tesla. This is not what we voted for. This is not what we're okay with. President Trump is one of the greatest leaders in history. He's not doing it. Why? Because he's surrounded by snakes that are undermining him. And we, the people, need to start speaking up and supporting Donald Trump and getting rid of basically everyone around him. He needs good people around him, people that aren't going to sell out, people that aren't going to lie to him and not tell him when Putin is almost assassinated by Ukraine, people who aren't going to lie to him about everything. We don't even know what he's being told. The guy's too busy to micromanage everything. He's got to rely on his advisors. But remember how well it worked the first term. When Deborah Birx wrote in her book, my job was to lie to the president. Well, it worked pretty well for her, didn't it? She's not in jail, is she? And look at what we got out of it. mRNA COVID jabs, a whole 4-year disaster and wealth transfer to the globalists. This is a debacle, second to none, folks. I don't like what's happening in the Middle East. I don't like Iran bombing Israel or Israel bombing Iran in this way, although I do agree that we cannot have a nuclear-armed Iran. Everybody on the world should agree with that. But at the same time, I don't want America in another war. I don't. I do not want to go to another Middle Eastern debacle. It's just not our problem. You fight your own wars over there. You guys want to start wars, start shooting missiles at each other, you go ahead. You fight it. I agree with Trump. If they hit any American assets, then we'll go to war to protect American assets. I have no interest in doing another regime change nightmare like we had in Iraq, another regime change nightmare like didn't work in Afghanistan, didn't work anywhere else that we've tried it. Why would we try it again? Anyways, folks, we're going to get into all of this stuff, and it's all tied together. It's all the same people, and I think that the kind of the core to the show today, the foundation to the show, is that no matter where you look, we are not. This is all being done by the same people. You look to the Soros crew, to the Gates crew, to the WEF crew, to all these globalist billionaire nonsense people. It's all the same people. Don't get me wrong, China's 100% involved as well. But these are all bad guys whose focus is destabilizing America, destabilizing the world, and ushering in the New World Order. And we are sprinting towards the New World Order right now. We are sprinting. We are not stopping it. We are not resetting. We are not doing anything. We are great resetting is what we're doing. And I'm praying for our kids' future because it ain't good right now. Anyways, it's a bit of a mess out there, and we're going to get into all that stuff today. But before I do, please support us. GiveSendGo.com/Renslaw. GiveSendGo.com/Renslaw. Become a monthly supporter. $20 a month is a world of difference for us. Give us $20 a month. Whatever you can give, we need your help. We need your support. We've got to start fighting back. There's no money going to give to us. All the billionaires are on one side or the other. There's no rich people that are backing freedom people. The freedom people are on our own. If you believe in freedom, if you want a future for your country, you're going to have to find a way to help support, because those of us that want to fight, like myself, I'm getting back to fighting. Folks, not that I ever quit fighting, but we're gearing up for a whole nother series of things. There's just no support for it. And the only way we can do it is with your help. So please, GiveSendGo.com/Renslaw. Also, go to our website, TomRens.com, TomRens.com. Remember, when you shop with our affiliates, that helps fund us, that helps support us. So go to shop partners and affiliates. All these guys give discounts, right? All these guys give discounts. And when you support us, by shopping with them, you get a discount, you get a deal, you get a great product, and you get to help us with the fight. So Block Trust IRA, wonderful. We love Block Trust. Add crypto to your retirement account. They are a legit IRA crypto company. They are a great company. We support Block Trust IRA. And then also scroll down. Air Water Healing. These guys are great. Listen, our water is not safe. And just because you think that you've got a water filter on and what you drink doesn't mean you're okay. Because remember, you shower with that same poisonous water. It gets into your skin, into your pores, into everything. The water is not good. You need the whole home water systems. You need the whole home air purifiers. These guys are some of the best stuff on the market. They ain't cheap, but they're good. Maha Mike, good guy, good patriot that does this. Great guy. Make sure you're supporting him. TomRens.com, affiliates, Air Water Healing, just wonderful, wonderful partners. All right. Without further ado, let's get into this, right? Let's get into this. We've got a lot of things happening in the world that we need to talk about. And let's start with some house cleaning, right? Let's start with some house cleaning. I got a couple things I want to show you on my page, on my X account, and these will make it everywhere at some point. But for right now, start out. Paul Osfit, the crooked, useless, vaccine-loving piece of crap guy that just got booted off of the ASIP crew and everything else. He's out there. This guy, this is literally amazing to me. This is incredible to me. Osfit says that since RFK removed the COVID vaccine recommendation for pregnant women, he says what you'd like to see is a pregnant person get COVID and suffer or severely die so they can sue the administration. So this guy, first of all, is a fan of a pregnant person suffering and dying. That should be enough. But second of all, so that they can sue the administration. Listen, there is no lawsuit there. As someone who has sued plenty of times, I can tell you, good luck getting anywhere with that. That is squarely within the judgment of the FDA to decide what to recommend or not based on whatever. That there is no lawsuit there. And I said, good luck with suing with mRNA death jab recommendations. I said, more importantly than the stupid idea and the stupid lawsuit and the fact that this guy is apparently in favor of pregnant women suffering and dying, is the fact that this I would welcome, because if they do this, I'm going to motion to intervene. I got plenty of plaintiffs that would love to intervene on a case like that. And I would love nothing more than to get to Paul Oswit's discovery on these death jabs. I'd love to see what he was recommending when we get full discovery on these jabs. So you go ahead, you sue over that. We're going to intervene. We're going to not only intervene, but we're going to go after you guys in about 100 different ways. You guys do that. This guy is a piece of crap. He should be investigated like Mary Tyler Bowden and everybody else, because he's saying that he wants pregnant person, by the way, to get COVID and suffer severely or die. What a sick, sick, sick human being. Anyways, that's that. We also got this one from John Rich, and I replied to John Rich here because I need. So John Rich puts this poll up. Do you want to see American boots on the ground in Israel-Iran conflict? 97.2%. Hell no. And I would agree with that. I'm surprised it's that high. It's not higher. Here's the problem. And this, someone says, why are you inflaming the whole thing? And John says, listen, I ain't. That's just where it goes. And we got to be realistic about what this all means. And he's right about that. We get involved, we're going to end up having Americans on the ground. No question about it. I don't want one American on the ground for this. I don't want anything to do with this nightmare. The whole thing is a debacle. But here's the deal. I said, the real question we need to ask, John Rich, is why are we marching towards war when there's such an overwhelming mandate to avoid it? Again, 97.2%. No one wants war. Why aren't we arresting the people behind the No Kings riot when we know who they are and are also the same people pushing for war? It's the same bad guys pushing this global disaster, same bad guys pushing for all this stuff. There are snakes deeply embedded in the White House and in the executive staff, and even in some of our cabinet officials, and they are there. They are not supporting MAGA. They are not doing anything good. They are undermining. That is what is happening. We have another Bill Barr situation. Listen, prove me wrong. But at this point, I'm starting to ask whether Pam Bondi is Bill Barr Part 2. Are you telling me we don't know who's behind these things? You telling me you can't find the connections to Soros or anybody else? How is it that you can't find them when everybody else can? How is it that internet people can find them, but the FBI can't? You put Soros in jail. See what that does. See what that does to the globalists. Try arresting some of these guys. See what that does. I'll bet you that changes things. And don't put them in a country club prison. Put them in a real jail. A real jail. Put them in a federal pen. A federal lockup. A real legit federal lockup. No privileges, no special billionaire club. A federal lockup. Let's see how that goes. Let's see how long they last in there. And let's see how long it is before globalists start taking a different tune with this. Right? Last, certainly not least, never forget, the people worried about separating families on the border made your grandma die alone in a hospital. Don't forget that, folks. Don't forget that. This is what we're dealing with. And I think this kind of sets the tone for the show and where we want to go with it. When we talk about the war, I want to also kind of lay this groundwork. We got Tucker Carlson has been speaking out about this, right? And here's Tucker on with Steve Bannon. And Tucker says, I don't want my country to be further weakened or destroyed by another one of these wars. And if you can connect the dots, after 25 years of this SHIT, you're either too dumb to participate in the conversation or you're like Mark Levin, just a liar who doesn't care. There's kind of this little battle going back between Tucker and Levin, which I get a boot out of, because Levin is just all in on this neocon war nonsense. I mean, I think him and Lindsey Graham are getting the same paychecks from the same people. But Tucker's not having anything of it, and Bannon doesn't like it either, right? So you've got these guys that are, they're legitimately just done with this, and they should be. Why would we do another Middle East war? How is that? How are any of these wars working for us in any level? Nothing we're doing in these wars is. We've been doing this since weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, which I sadly thought was a good war. At the time, I was so wrong. Oh my God, was I wrong? I thought Bush was legit. I thought he was doing good things. Man, was I wrong. From weapons of mass destruction to the Taliban to all this stuff, we've been in war for 25 years. We're $36 trillion in debt. How much money have we wasted? How many American lives have we lost for wars, and not one of them has been a successful outcome? Not one. You cannot control another country. We can topple another country. We can destroy their government. We can put new people in. But at the end of the day, the people of the country are the who decide who's going to run the country and how it's going to be ran. And if we, the people of any given country, are okay with their government as it is, us toppling it doesn't mean they're going to put new people involved in play. We see that in Iraq. It's a mess over there. We see that in Afghanistan, now controlled by the Taliban again, after how many billions of dollars in American lives lost? Probably trillions of dollars. It doesn't work. If the people of a country won't stand up for themselves, we can't force them to stand up. Now, Israel, I don't know what to say about Israel. I mean, they have an absolute right to defend themselves. But I don't know that I believe that Iran was that close to nuclear weapons. I don't know that I believe that this preemptive attack was about trying to stop that, because I don't believe anything the governments tell us. Not ours, not Israel's, not anybody's. Not Iran's, not Palestine. I don't believe any of these guys. Every one of them is full of crap. They're all propaganda, and they're all using it for their own purposes. At the end of the day, I don't know what's going on over there. I don't know whether Iran was truly that close to WMDs. But I know that Israel decided to pick a big fight when Trump asked them not to. Why would we now back them in the fight that they started? Don't start a fight if you're not ready to win it. I got two sons, right? My boys, they're 15 and 12. And it's interesting because I tell them, don't start a fight, but make sure you finish it, right? That's part of being a man. You don't start a fight that you're not ready to finish. If you're ready to finish it, then go ahead and do what you got to do. But if someone starts a fight with you, you have no choice but to finish it. But you sure as hell don't go around picking a fight unless you're ready to do it for real. And, Israel wanted to pick the fight. We asked them not to. They did it anyways. Go ahead then. You deal with it. It's not our problem. I don't want another war. I don't want to pay for it. I don't want $1 to go towards. Listen, Israel gets as much aid as they should ever get from us. They don't need any more than that. They want to use that aid for whatever they want. Whatever. I'm not for any more aid. We've done enough. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind keeping them safe. No one's invading them though. They're just getting missiles shot back at them after they shot missiles. And I get it. Listen, I am not a Middle East specialist, particularly on the Israel issue, right? I know a lot about terror, but in terms of the Israeli issue, that's not my strongest suit. So I'm not going to get into all the nuance of it. I don't like killing women and children. I don't like some of that stuff ever. And there's been too much of that. And I don't like picking fights like this in the way that it was done. I just don't like it. And I'm sorry, but there's no trust anymore. I don't trust that Iran or Israel was doing the right thing in this fight. I just don't. So, anyways, this is a mess. So we look further, and I want to transition with this. This was funny to me, even though I don't like the fight. I did find this funny. Guess how many bombs I'm sending your way? How many? All of them. Okay, listen, that was funny to me. It was like a dad joke meme. It was just like, it was terrible, but it's funny, and it is what it is. So those are the dad jokes are the best. You need to have dad jokes in your life, or they're no good. Your life's no good. But yeah, this war is a disaster. It's really a nightmare, and as we're looking at this, I just really want to stress that it's the same people, right? It's always the same people. So we look at what's going on here, and we're seeing so many times these crossovers. Now, Trump is now saying, because it starts out, we're not going to do anything, we're not going to get involved, now he says over the weekend to this ABC's Rachel Scott, it's possible we could get involved. He says the U.S. military is not involved in the conflict at the moment, but that we could. He wants a peaceful resolution, but says we could get involved. Now he's mentioned Putin. He says, speaking about Putin being a mediator, quote, he's ready. He called me about it. We had a long talk about it, Trump said. So, I mean, what's happening? Trump seems to be softening his position on this. We don't want him to soften his position. Us getting into another big war like this is an absolute betrayal of MAGA. Part of big thing in the election was that we don't get into more wars, that we end wars. We, the people, we want out of Ukraine. We're still not out of Ukraine. And you're talking about getting us into another one? The midterms will be the biggest disaster ever. You get us into another war, midterms are already going to be ugly because Maha's already furious. Maha's already feeling betrayed and upset. They're going to probably be a lot of Maha sitting out the midterms, which means it ain't good. You get us in another war, those midterms are going to be ugly. Here's the problem. There's not a huge majority in either side of the Congress. You pull in a Democrat majority, especially in both sides, Trump is going to be impeached on a weekly basis. He will get nothing done. Everything will be done. It will be over. There will be no way of spinning this as a win. Trump cannot win with a Democrat. He can't win with a Republican Congress. How the hell is he going to win with a Democrat Congress when he's impeached every 5 minutes? If we have a Democrat Congress after the midterms, that will be the end of Trump's tenure as president. And if there's a big enough group of Democrats, I think he'll get impeached and he may actually get thrown out of office. And if you think they won't come after you for blood, listen, the Democrats, the leftists, they want to go after Trump. So he thinks he had legal troubles before. You go ahead and get impeached and see what happens. I think this is the dumbest move personally, professionally, as a president, politically, I've ever seen. I do not understand what Trump is thinking. All I see is that the people around Trump must be giving him the worst advice imaginable. And we've talked about it. We've tried to get the message up to him, but he won't listen. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why the White House is doing what they're doing, but it's manifestly stupid. As we look at what's going on, these in the war, Tehran has been just blasted, right? So is Tel Aviv. But they've hit the Ministry of Oil, Ministry of Intelligence, police headquarters, Iraqi Guard, Supreme Court, they've just been blasted, right? Now, there's people saying, oh, Iran's going to run out of missiles. No, they're not. They're getting their missiles from China, probably some from Russia. But even if Russia cuts off, China's not going to cut off. They're going to sell them illegally. They're not going to quit. But China doesn't care. They want this. China wants a world war. You know who's not getting attacked in a world war? China. You know what happens if we got a world war going on and China's sitting out? Everybody's wasting their troops, wasting their resources, wasting their this. Well, China just keeps building. You know who wins? China wins. You know who else wins? The globalists. The George Soros, Bill Gates, Bilderberg globalists that are behind all of the stuff that's going on continue to win, win, win. Meanwhile, we the people lose. The Great Reset marches forward. And nobody's even talking about the important issues. Nobody's talking about what's happening. This is a debacle second to none. Our foreign policy right now, Trump has done. I loved what he was doing with the tariffs. I loved what he was doing with the trade. I think that's been great. But I mean, we're failing epically on these wars. The neocons are winning big time. And they don't care that over 97% of Americans do not want anything to do with this. They don't care. Now, I'll grant you that Twitter poll is a little informal and doesn't meet polling standards by any means. But Americans do not want war, especially MAGA. No one wants this. And I think we can all agree, even on the left. I don't think the left or the right wants war. I think we're all on the same page here. I think we all just want to get along here. So I don't know. I think I might reach out to my favorite leftist, Brian Shapiro, and see see about chatting with him, because I think it'd be interesting to see where we are, because there's probably a fair number of things that the left and the right are aligning on right now. Nobody wants war, I don't think. I mean, the left is obviously insane and pushing for, these riots and pushing for race riots and illegal immigration, everything else. But I mean, I would think we could come together on war. No one wants war. I think we could come together on not wanting political violence. I think we could come together on, don't get me wrong, the globalists and the rhinos and the leftists that are running the show are all for political violence and war and that sort of stuff. But the leftist people, just like the mega people, aren't okay with what's happening. So it's kind of an interesting thing, the way that we're turned against each other, even though there's probably not as big of a divide as you'd think. But yeah, again, over and over again, these bombs are flying. Israel's a mess. Iran's a mess. And no one is willing to do anything about it. Now, let's move on to a related and very important topic. All right. So right now we have going on, I think it just wrapped up, but the Bilderberg meeting. Now, if you guys don't know about Bilderberg is a conspiracy theory meeting that doesn't exist, except for it does. Every year, these clowns get together, and they're the globalists. It's the George Soros, Bill Gates crew. They get together and they plan for destroying the world. It's a real thing. They denied it. Now, all the people there, it's all top secret. No one's allowed to know the details of what they're talking about. No one's allowed to be there. There's no media involved. They're not allowed to. Everything's super secret, right? The Bilderbergs are all super secret. Alex Jones has been talking about these guys forever. Everybody called him a conspiracy theorist, but Alex Jones was right from the beginning. From the beginning. The Bilderbergs are a real thing. They are a real thing. In fact, you want to know how real they are? Here is their website. And here is their 2025 meeting agenda. Now, this is no joke. You see Bilderberg Meetings, the official website, and you can look here and see what it is that they're talking about. So the Bilderberg meeting will take place June 12th to June 15th, so just wrapped up, in Stockholm, Sweden. And they've got topics for discussion. Transatlantic relationship. Well, that's a little rough at the moment, and it should be. Ukraine, because they love Ukraine. Bilderberg loves Ukraine. The U.S. economy, Europe, Middle East, authoritarian access. Well, that seems to be Europe right now. At least they're trying to be. Deference, innovation, and resilience. AI, deterrence, and national security. They love AI. This is a foundational thing that we need to understand, is that AI is going to be taking over the world. It's coming. We're going to have to address it or we're in trouble. You got proliferation, geopolitics of energy and critical minerals. That's a big deal. But last one, depopulation and migration. They're actually talking about the depopulation agenda. They're literally talking about the depopulation. Now they're going to say, oh, birth rates are dropping. We don't know why. Of course they know why. They're COVID jabs. Their COVID jabs were designed to destroy birth rates. They were designed to be STDs. They were designed to be something that poisons you. That's what they are. Anyways, this is all occurring. And it's a real thing. Now, let's talk about who's there. These are some of the participants from 2025. Well, we got Stacey Abrams. Didn't she just get in trouble for, fraud or something with USAID? I don't know. You got EU. Of course, a lot of universities, things like that. You've got the Atlantic. Atlantic's always got to have someone there so that, they can coordinate with their masters. That's important. And I'm scrolling down. I'm skipping a lot of these people. I want to focus on U.S. Former director of Net Assessment, Department of Defense, right? A lot of the Department of Defense loves this. We got a lot of Bilderberg, a lot of people who've infiltrated the DOD. This is why we have so much trouble with the neocon rhinos and the DOD deep state. They are owned by the globalists. Very, very, very much so. You've got to understand the reason for these wars are the globalists make money off the wars. The billionaires make a lot of money off the wars. The leadership makes a lot of money. The only people that lose the wars are we, the people, and our children. We lose it pretty badly. But, you know, it is what it is. Um, this is a disaster, right? It's a very real thing, and we know what's happening here. Now, when we talk about this, and just flashed a screenshot of this article from Daily Telegraph. Um, this is featuring. They said in this article they talk about featuring tech moguls like Peter Thiel and Alex Karp of Palantir, pharmaceutical executives and political figures. Right now, why is that important? So these people that are meeting and talking about the depopulation agenda, amongst other things, include Peter Thiel. Well, where do you hear that name? Where do you hear Palantir? Well, they are the ones who Trump is now tapping for AI governance. They're the ones who Trump is now tapping to be involved with running our country. They're the ones that Trump is now tapping to be involved with everything, right? Palantir was originally supported and part of a big CIA operation to surveil everything. Ties in with the AI, right? Peter Thiel, the pharma crew, why does this all tie together? Well, because it ties in with the big pharma depopulation agenda. It ties in with all the things that are happening. There is no question that what's happening is intentional, and it's being driven by the same people. Now, remember where I started the show. I said that the people behind the wars, the No Kings riots, all these different things, these are the same people. Now, Peter Thiel may back Trump, and George Soros may be against Trump, but they're both at the same meeting playing. They're both at the same meetings planning. They're working together in a lot of different things. Maybe they don't agree on everything, but you know what they do agree on? The future, the AI surveillance state future, the one world order future, the globalist agenda future. They do agree on that. Now, how they get there, yeah, they may disagree a little bit, but this Bilderberg meeting and all these different things, you have to understand these guys are working together. And when you see all of these billionaires who, publicly will talk about this, talk about that, it's as irrelevant as a politician telling you something. Everything the politicians say is a lie. Everything they do is a lie. They are controlled from the top to bottom. This is really something that you have to understand is not going well. We are not winning. We're bringing Palantir in. In fact, these same people are the people who Trump brought into the White House day one and said, listen, we're going to develop a cancer vaccine that you'll get. It'll be a custom-made mRNA cancer vaccine. You'll get it within 48 hours after a blood test. Made by AI and this and well, that's Larry Ellis, Peter Thiel. It's all the same AI people. It's all the same globalists. They are tied in with global surveillance and with deep state and with everything else and with big pharma. They're all the same, folks. This is a singular agenda. You've got to understand. This isn't speculative. It's as clear as day that we have a single unified agenda to bring in these globalists from all these different places. They want to usher in a new age of AI governance, of no privacy. And so when we see these Bilderberg groups and these other meetings, the Davos meeting, all these different groups, Bohemian Groves, these guys get together and there's a couple things that happen. Part of it's about control. It's one giant blackmail ring. But part of it is also about ushering in this new world order, about figuring out how to do it, how to manage it. Who's getting what? When the world is divided up into this new world, who is going to get what piece of what? These meetings are critical for the globalists because of that. At the end of the day, these guys are sitting there figuring out who's going to get what. And even if you were in the meeting, it's not what happens in the meeting. It's what happens after hours. It's the side conversations. Hey, listen, I've been in a lot of big meetings and a lot of big events, some public, some not. And that whatever you're saying in the group is nice, and it certainly has an impact. And I'm sure that they have a very fascinating depopulation breakout session. I'd be very interested to hear that. I'm much more interested in the conversation between the pharma execs, Peter Thiel, and Larry Ellis and these other guys who are going to be talking about the depopulation agenda, specifically off record, right? These sorts of things are the things that we really need to hear about. But we, the people, we, the plebes, we're not privy to this, right? The globalist leaders of the universe, they get to. Now, please explain to me how it is that our national security apparatus, our spies, can find out what's going on. I mean, they can track down pretty much anyone, anytime, anywhere. I mean, listen, somehow our FBI is capable of finding a single individual in this entire country who keyed a Tesla and to develop enough evidence to get the person who keyed the Tesla and put them in jail and try them as a random person who's keyed a Tesla. So no one's going to have any reason to know who that is. I mean, how would you do that? But yet these same people can't seem to connect the dots between the Bilderberg groups, the Soros groups, the Gates groups, the this groups, the that groups, and what's going on in this world. Now, Data Republican, people like me, we're out there digging, and you know what? Over and over again, we're able to show you the money trail. We're able to show you how things are moving. We're able to show you that, yeah, this is coordinated. The money's following, or you can see who's doing what where, right? Why is it that we can see this, but people with the resources, the FBI, the DOJ, they can't? They can't. Producer Andrea, are you here? Are you available? Are you I don't know if she's here or not. I think so, maybe. Oh, yes, she is. She is here. She's off. She's backstage. We got to put her on stage. There she is.
There we go.
How are you doing today, Producer Andrea?
Good.
Wonderful. Is this the best day ever? Is it like the greatest Monday of your life?
It's the greatest Monday ever.
I thought so.
The globalists are having parties.
Well, they just got done. I wonder how many hookers they flew to the Bilderberg Valley, because the Davos thing is like the hooker capital of the world.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look into it, it's really interesting because they wear a certain color so that you know who they are. So they must like send out an email and a message like, the good hookers are going to be wearing this color this time. This is how you find them. Yeah.
Kind of the way things all work. Producer Andrea, how is it that you and I keep finding all this data and this information, but the FBI can't? Do you have a good explanation for that?
What's wild is so much of this is like way before COVID, been going on forever. I mean, at some point, when does the term conspiracy theory just mean facts? Like, this is not conspiracy theory.
Well, that's kind of my question.
It's easy to vet out and see that it really is happening.
Yeah, that's kind of my issue here. I'm thinking that there may be some conspiracy facts going on here, and I'm just not sure why it is that you and I can keep digging this stuff out. A Data Republican can dig this stuff out. Everybody can dig this stuff up, but our FBI can't seem to manage to find out who's doing what to arrest the people at the top of the food chain. They just don't seem to be able to do that. Do you have any explanation for that? I mean, I'm confused. I think
maybe some of them want to be invited to the parties.
Maybe they've already been invited to the parties. Maybe that's the problem. Anyways. All right. Did you see this? I thought this was nice. And this isn't the Dodgers' fault. Dodgers singers performs national anthem in Spanish, sparks controversy, right? So whoever this clown is that's sang the national anthem here decided to sing it in Spanish. Now, she wasn't supposed to be doing that, right? This went against the team's preferences, I guess. Now, I don't know whether they knew about it or not, but apparently this went against their preferences, whatever that means. So she sang our national anthem in Spanish. In light of the No Kings protest, all the politicization of everything. Can anybody explain to me how it's not an insult that they're doing this in Spanish? Can anybody explain to me how this is not just an outright abject insult, slap in the face to America? To me, this is horrific. It's absolutely horrific. And I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. Um, how it went against the team's preferences. Why didn't they yank her? I mean, I guess I don't know what the proper thing. What do you do about that one, producer Andrew? This woman starts singing the anthem and she does it in Spanish. What do you do if you're the Dodgers and that's happening?
I don't think there's much you can do. You
I
can't
guess you
yank
let her
her.
finish.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, um, that one just that's a transition piece, folks. I want a transition piece because I wanted to go from the Bilderberg to some of these other things, and I want to start moving into the political violence because the political violence is getting much worse. Right? Um, did you see this guy that shot the House Speaker up in Minnesota and then some other people? Did you see this over the weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now this guy, here he is, by the way. This Vance Bolter. Um, now this guy is a real question mark to me. And if
Mm-hmm.
there's ever, it's funny because on the right, a lot of times we'll say, "Boy, this guy looks like an MK Ultra deep state plant type thing." And normally I'm like, yeah, I don't know about all that, and whatever. But this guy is interesting, right? So this Vance Bolter, of course, the left is trying to make him as a pro-Trump guy, right? But he had a bunch of no king stuff in his car,
Mm-hmm.
and he worked for Tim Walz like twice. Walz had him appointed to different things.
Of course. Tampon Tim.
Yeah, Tampon Tim. Tampon Tim. Oh, you know what I should have did? I should have got out the dance.
Yeah.
Remember the dance?
Yeah.
I
But that
forgot.
wasn't him. That was fake, remember?
I know, but it was really funny. And
Yes,
then when
that
I
was
played it
really
with the
funny.
song, it was super, super funny. I wish I could pull that, but I don't have that video. So I wish I'd have thought of that. We should have pulled that this morning. We didn't think of it. That would have been great. But yeah, so Vance Bolter worked for Tampon Tim, right? And what he did was he got dressed up as a cop. Apparently, he had a cop car, all sorts of things. He goes to see a couple lawmakers, some people. He goes to this lawmaker's house, shoots her and her husband, and then goes to another house, shoots another guy and his wife, and just bumping people off, right? And then he disappears. He is apparently, according to the article, a self-described security professional. He was on Tampon Tim's board a couple times and was actively involved. I mean, he's reappointed by Tim Walz to these. I mean, he was one of Walz's guys, right? He and his wife had a company called Praetorian Guard Security Services. So out of Minnesota, just a security. I don't know what they do, right? He also had some sort of a big NGO that he was tied into, except for no one can find anything else about the NGO. Like the NGO is very mysterious. Nobody really knows what they do. Nobody knows what a security company does. It's all very, very vague. Like the guy is very, I don't know, a lot of missing pieces, right? And yeah, so he goes and he shoots these. Now, one of the things that's interesting is he got 2 counts of second degree murder and 2 counts of attempted second degree murder. I'm not sure why it was second degree. Now, yeah, degree of murder typically premeditation and intent, which is seems pretty clear here. It means first degree murder. So I don't know why he'd be charged with second degree. That's a very interesting thing. And I don't know the Minnesota sentencing guidelines or the rules for Minnesota criminal law because I don't do that there. But I'm wondering if there's not some sort of a backdoor reason that he did that. It'll be interesting to see what sort of a sweetheart deal he gets, if any, assuming he survives his trial on this. But it seems a little peculiar that he was charged with second degree when it seems so clear that this was first degree. And that's, it just doesn't even make sense, right? They reported this guy was arrested near his home. We don't know what that means, right? We don't know where he was. The details, again, everything about this has been exceedingly vague. Nobody seems to know or be willing to share any details. As far as the victims, they are what they are. And there's a question about whether or not this has to do with the No Kings protest, since he had this in the back of his car. Clearly, he was abjectly against No Kings, as he, with this in his car. Clearly. Producer Andrea, do you have any No Kings paraphernalia in your car?
I love it because we have I was just thinking of our friend Ben Miller. He goes to a Trump rally.
Yeah.
And he had guns in his trunk, and they were like locked away, like double, triple locked away.
And he parked 2 miles away.
He parked like 2 miles away from the event, but he was that third assassin or third attempted assassin. So, I mean, a guy who had guns locked in his car. I think he even had him like the standard you're supposed to, where everything's like separated. It's not like it was just about to grab it and run.
Yeah, no, it's locked away.
Yeah. They tie in the media that he was there to try to kill Trump, and he's literally been like the biggest Trump supporter in the media as such. And again, 2 miles away. This guy does all of this, and then there's all this No King stuff found on him, and they're like, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here.
Yeah,
it's not connected in any way.
There's like a whole thing to try and get it, and now they're trying to say that he was a Republican Trump guy, right?
Oh yeah, because all the crazies are definitely Trumpers.
In 2016, 2020, he was registered as no affiliation.
And he worked for Tampon Tim. So was him working for Tampon Tim, was that like undercover?
I guess.
He was in secret, like he was a Trump supporter, but he wanted to work for Tampon Tim to get in.
2016, 2020, he's listed as no affiliate, no party preference, right? So he's nothing. And no one's been able to independently clarify whether he's a voting Democrat or a Republican lately. There's claiming that going back to the 2010s or 2010s or something, that he was anti-abortion. Oh no, through the 90s, really hated abortion through the 90s. So that's the best they've got right now. Nobody knows what he's doing now, but we're going with that. Now they're going with what he did in the 90s, but they're not talking about the fact that Tampon Tim appointed him to 2 different boards. I'm just saying that smells a little bit bad, right? Now, as we go through, one of the other things that's really interesting is they're claiming now that he must be a right-wing nutbag because he had this hit list and there were Democrats on it. But the hit list turns out to be pretty suspicious, right? Turns out that that along with the abortion stuff and the Democrat people that are on it, there's a bunch of people who are dead, who are removed from office, people that are already gone. It doesn't look like an authentic list in any way, shape, or form, right? And also the guy that he shot wasn't on the list. So he made a list, left one of the guys he shot off the list, and then he had on the list a bunch of dead people and people that just don't belong there, right? It doesn't make sense. He has people who are just not involved. So this list, the more we see about this list, the more questions we have. And no one's supposed to ask any questions here, right? The left is trying to spin this as a right-wing nutbag, but the reality is everything about this looks left-wing or deep state. Now, one of the things that I'm really cognizant of and that I'm interested in see is the sentencing, right? If he gets some sort of a light sentence or something like that, because everybody will have forgotten about him by the time he gets sentenced, right? It'll be old news. The news will never cover him again. But they charge him with second-degree murder. That's really bizarre in a case like this, right? You got a highly charged political case, all these different things. They're charging second degree. Why? Now, I'm guessing there's no parole, no this, no that for first-degree murder, and that the standards are somewhat relaxed for second. I don't understand how you do this sort of a case, this sort of a thing, this sort of a fuss, and you're going second. That doesn't make sense. Like, as a prosecutor, you're missing out on all that political fame and all the different things. I mean, this is a prosecutor's wet dream to have this sort of a case. It seems like you'd go for hard. So I don't know. This whole thing is really suspicious. The fact that we don't know more about this guy, everything is just bizarre, right? So I don't know. All right. I got to move on to some other miscellaneous stuff. You want to know something that was really interesting that I saw this weekend? Producer Andrew, did you follow any of the TikTok or the like the little videos or the shorts that people were putting out talking about the No King stuff this weekend?
Not really, no. I tried my hardest to just shut down this weekend, I'll be honest.
You really missed out. You missed out.
I knew everything was going to go crazy, and I'd hear all about it this week. So here I am.
You missed out. So it was interesting. There were a bunch of TikTok videos and people talking out, and there was a particular video, and I don't have it up to show this black lady who was talking about. She says, "You know who you won't see at the No Kings protests? Authentic black people." She said, "Authentic black people," and okay. She said. And the point she made is she went through, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, but she said, you know why you won't see authentic black people there? She said, because they put the illegals in our neighborhoods. And our neighborhoods are the ones that are dealing with the crime and the chaos and the this and the that. And, well, I mean, that's probably true. I guess I've never really thought of that, but that probably is a very accurate thing. Enter this article Vigilant Fox has up. Old white boomers by day, Antifa by night. The No Kings color revolution. And this is true. If you looked at these protests, look at this. It's like a meeting of the Granny Society. It's all dinosaurs. When you look at these protests across the board, you see all these different groups and some of these different things that are involved. And there's a ton of stuff here. But a lot of these, look at just old people. It's all old white people. It's like the whole rich white liberal women thing being the problem in this country. Well, that is the absolute truth. It absolutely is. The rich white liberal women thing is a big deal here. These are all old people, old boomers, old this, old that. There's just no, they talk about diversity. These are all white people. I mean, they're just.
It's the thing with the No Kings, and I was saying it when we first saw it in LA in the beginning, and then I honestly didn't want to keep tracking it closely throughout the weekend because I knew I'd lose my mind. But we talked about it a week ago. We laid it all out what was happening, and I said you could see by the video right away that this was staged and this was fake, and I feel horrible for the people who literally sit there and think that they're going to run to the streets or get involved or put money somewhere to help the poor immigrants that are getting separated from their kids and they're getting deported when they shouldn't. This has nothing to do with that. And you should never have to pay protesters to do anything. The American people, we have rebellion in our blood. We will stand up and fight. We've proven that. But when it's paid protesters, and you could see by the demographics of the people who were protesting, I grew up in the LA area. This wasn't, you might see in some clips that there were some people that looked like they could be legitimate, south of the border immigrants that were fighting what they thought they were fighting. But for the most part, I saw a lot of Antifa looking people, people like we saw in Portland, people like we saw in San Francisco, people like we saw here in Reno that had been bussed in from other areas and paid to cause social unrest and violence and havoc. And what is wild to me about like what you're saying, the rich white ladies who are like believing this nonsense and getting wrapped into it and causing a lot of the problems, really like perpetuating this with their ignorance, really, is they could help these minorities. They could help the poor communities. And the Black woman who was saying that, she's absolutely right. They, like we've said when we talked to Pastor Bernadette Smith, we were talking about how you went to an event up in Detroit area to help. It was like you're helping clean up a neighborhood. And when you get out of the car and you're a big white guy and bald and whatever, looking like really tough at the time, they were like, who's this dude? There's a reason why these minority communities don't trust us. And it's because we take advantage of them. Our politicians and our
Yep.
community leaders and the rich white ladies who are
Yep.
nuts, they don't go in and actually help their communities. They use them. They use them for a press stunt, for a PR event. They stand up there and go, I'm here to help everyone. And then they walk away and do nothing.
Yep. I met a guy this weekend, a new buddy of mine. His name is Keon. Shout out to you if you're watching. And Keon's a black guy. And we were talking about some of this stuff. One of the first things Keon said, you know what he said? He kept talking about saying, he said a bunch of times that he's had to deal with crap because he's a black guy and he's MAGA. And I don't understand this. Why is the left so racist? Why are they so racist? Why do they think that just because you look a certain way, you have to believe a certain way? That just seems bigoted to me. I mean, am I wrong on this?
Well, and we had Yadasha, who runs Blexit here in Nevada, and she said people have told her, I mean, you get the whole, Uncle Tom stuff too, but she was told that she's trying to leave the plantation by voting Republican.
Yeah, I'll never forget that conversation.
And it's wild because basically they pander. The politicians and community leaders will try to, and that's what these white liberal, crazy women are doing too. They're like pandering. I care about you. I care about the immigrants. I care about this humanitarian crisis. Well, what are you doing? You could actually be doing something to actually help these communities. Real work you could be doing instead of getting involved with something like No Kings, which has nothing at all to do with helping people who need help in our communities.
No.
But when they say like you're trying to leave the plantation,
that's so racist to me.
As wild as when you think of the history of our country too, and how our first black politicians and black leaders in our country were all Republicans. And when you look at the history of when we started, when KKK was happening and slaying people, just ripping people out of the streets and hanging them. Yeah. A lot of white people were getting slain then too because they were Republicans. The reason why it was so targeted on blacks at the time was every black was a Republican. They were going after Republicans. The Democrats didn't like what the Republican agenda was doing to try to end slavery. Yeah. And so they went after everyone who they knew had a R next to their name. And there were like over thousands of white people also hung during that time that people don't realize. Well, the reason why black people were so targeted is that every black person during that time was Republican because they were fighting for their rights and their freedoms then. So now to tell a black person that you're trying to leave the plantation by voting Republican is absolutely the most ignorant thing you can say. And it's bizarre, to be honest. I do want to leave the plantation. I want to fight for my constitutional rights. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, I would agree. Now, two things. I want to hit two things real quick, and I know we're coming up on the end, but first of all, there's this comment. Who are the specific leaders of No Kings? Check out Data Republican. Check out my Twitter feed. There's a bunch of stuff there you can see. What you've got to do, though, is you've got to follow the money all the way back up. Eventually, you're going to find ties to the Soros Foundation we're hearing and to all these different things. You want to stop this stuff? You look to the billionaire globalists. You know all their names. Like I said, Data Republican is doing a great, probably as good a job as anybody at compiling this information. That's one of the people that I follow closest on this. I really like her work. That girl is a phenom. I just can't say enough about her. And there's that. So I want to talk to Julio. Julio, let's go up here. Wrong one. This one. White Americans support immigrant labor all day long. Who do you think is doing all the jobs Americans won't do? I got to tell you, Julio, I do not support illegal immigrant labor. And I happen to be a white dude, last I checked. I don't at all. I think that it would be much better for our country if we were able to find a situation where legal people were paid appropriate wages to do the jobs. And the job, it would raise wages in a substantial way.
Well, companies
if we couldn't use illegals, they're using illegals.
Yes.
They're taking advantage of them, and it drives the wages down, and it screws the illegals.
The corporations should be encouraged and incentivized, and it should be the law that they help them become citizens. If you want to hire someone who migrated here and they haven't got their citizenship, let's make it happen. Let's help them get their citizenship before you hire them.
Yes.
Let's get them through the process. It is a process. They can get visas. There's people that migrate here from all over the world, and they have to go through the legal process to do so. Now, if you're trying to employ one of those people, you should be helping them get it done.
100%. I appreciate the sentiment there. But at the end of the day, I think that does a lot to drive down wages, drive down this, drive down that. And you know who ends up winning? The billionaires. It's always the globalists. They win
Yes.
everywhere. They take advantage of
And we
everybody.
don't hold them accountable
It's not
for
the
anything.
billionaires' kids that die in the wars.
Yeah.
It's not the billionaires'
No.
kids who are getting below minimum wage in
Mhm.
these jobs that no Americans will do, supposedly. The billionaires just keep getting richer. Meanwhile, all the people that are working their butts off are just there to prop them up. We're not seeing what's happening here. We've all been played on the left and on the right. And unless we start taking the steps to come together and to really get some things done, we are all screwed.
Yep.
All right. We're late. We're late today. I had too much, and we got a whole bunch more. So unfortunately, we got to call her a day. Lots more. It'll be a big week. Make sure you're here tomorrow, and we will be back then.